Welcome to Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure. I'm Rob Wilson.
And I am Tony the Quano.
So, Tony, let's travel back farther than we have traveled before on this podcast. All the way back to 1931.
What? Wait. I remember that we got to see Socrates
We
in
did.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
We did, yes. That part of the movie takes place way before 1931. But the movie itself came out in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'm with you now.
yes.
Okay.
But yes, you are absolutely correct. Socrates was way before 1931.
Just a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. But, and I mean, we also talked about, Back to the Future 3 when they're in 1885.
1885.
Which
we
is,
did Braveheart. We did Gladiator.
Yes. All those are before 1931. But the movies came out after.
Right.
So
this one is like a period piece in some
it is.
It seems that way.
It is. But yeah, so let's talk about a movie from 1931, the oldest movie that we have talked about so far in this podcast. And since it is, pretty close to Halloween,
It's that season.
It's got to be one of those Universal monster movies.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Dracula. The Bela Lugosi Dracula. The Dracula that defined Dracula for everybody.
Precisely, which is why I think it's the most appropriate one to do. I would think the other one that would come close to do would be Frankenstein, because that defines
yes,
the Frankenstein story, the Frankenstein's monster.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and this Frankenstein was released after this. Dracula was released first, but it's the two of them together is kind of what helped spawn the whole Universal monster movie kind of genre over the next 10 years or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was the first one really that really kind of set it off, and this is in the early days of talkies, right?
Yeah. And this is back when it was pretty standard for people to overact.
Right. And I think it's interesting. I think overall they do a good job in this movie of keeping that down.
Yeah, I do too. But it's still, I mean, yes, this movie is an adaptation of the play Dracula. And it shows, because this was also back in the era where there wasn't really any difference in acting style between the stage and the screen.
Right.
So everybody in this movie is acting as if they're acting on stage.
Right. Which makes sense. Again, it takes a while before they kind of make that transition a bit.
Mm-hmm. But it's definitely a good movie. It's definitely worth a watch. If you have not seen it, it's worth watching. It's
a classic for a reason.
Yes, absolutely.
And, there's the German film Nosferatu, right? Which predates this, but that was silent.
Mm-hmm.
It was also
it only predates it by a couple of years.
Yeah, not too long. Of Stoker's work, which had other adaptations, including the stage play, like you said. This, takes its own path, and 60 years later, Francis Ford Coppola, as we've discussed in a few of our other episodes, would have his version of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which hews much closer to the book than what this does, which is using it more as a sketch. And it's obviously the Christopher Lee Dracula as well.
Yes.
He would be, that's Lugosi, Lee, and Gary Oldman be like kind of the three obvious ones are there, but it's Lugosi that really takes the cake. He's the one that creates the image of this character.
Yes, every Halloween store you go to, you see Dracula costumes, Dracula,
and it's modeled after this
blow up stuff. It's all modeled after the Bela Lugosi Dracula,
which is it's interesting to think about it, right? Because the concept of the vampire, right, obviously predates Stoker's novel and the play and the movie. But it's this movie then just kind of actually is what cements them being kind of fused kind of together as one,
Yep.
right? As opposed to Dracula just being one of many vampires that are out there. But he becomes the one that image is what's ingrained in the pop culture psyche.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it is, right? And it's funny, like it's kind of for Bela Lugosi, it became the thing that he was typecast as and forever attached to,
Yeah. Yeah.
for better or worse, right? You know, not yeah, but I think it obviously worked out for him. So,
Yeah.
and he's very good. He's got the rape eyes that are needed for this for this role,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah. So the first time I saw this movie was 15 years or so ago.
Okay.
It was, one of those times when, when Netflix was sending out DVDs.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I should probably watch one of these classic Universal monster movies. Because I haven't seen any of them at that point. And so I rented Dracula. And yeah, that was when I was working weekends. Staying at a house, taking care of people. So while they were sleeping, I was able to, do what I wanted and watch movies and stuff like that. And
Right.
so,
Yep.
yeah, took my laptop to work with me, and I popped this movie in and watched it one night.
Okay.
And it was. I enjoyed it, but I was surprised at how much of it I had forgotten.
Okay.
Before watching it again the other day.
It's interesting because it is a short movie.
It is a very short movie. It's an hour and 14 minutes long.
This is the shortest movie we've done.
And I guess it's not so much that parts that I had forgotten, but sequences that I remembered differently.
Okay.
That I remembered, going around differently and happening in a different way. But yeah, no, it was definitely nice to revisit it for the podcast. And yeah.
See, this is the first time I have watched it. I've seen some pieces of it here or there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of hard to escape that in some ways, right? There's a lot of it's iconic in many ways, but I think the only monster one I've seen completely through is Frankenstein.
See, that's one that I still have not seen the original Frankenstein.
And I probably did that again, probably about 15 years ago. So, but I was more than happy to go ahead and watch this for the first time. And it was good because I've recently read most of the Stoker's novel. And obviously, it keeps some of the characters, but changes a lot of the plot, and there's more detailed. I mean, the book is like over 400 pages. It's much more in depth than what this is. But
yeah,
again, this is early movies. They're not looking for the most thematically dense movies at this point.
Yeah, this is the early days of cinema. So they're. You don't have the extensive storylines like you have now. Most of the movies of the day were about as long as this one is.
But there's still so much to admire about it in terms of you can tell the director was trying to experiment and figure out how are we going to do this movie thing.
Yeah,
like he wants how am I going to tell a story like this. His name is Todd Browning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he himself was a vaudeville performer, right? He performed at circuses and was also he acted in some films, right? But yeah, he started getting into directing primarily horror movies later in his career. And at the time, many cited him as the Edgar Allan Poe of cinema. Because the other famous movie that he directed was the year after this, and that was Freaks, which is about circus freaks, as the name might imply.
Mm-hmm.
Many people might know that one. There's a lot of controversy around it, but
Yep. I've seen
yeah,
part of
that'd be
that
one of
movie.
his
I have not
movies.
seen the whole thing.
I had not either. Oh, well, he directed the first Iron Man movie. No, it's different
Yeah,
Iron Man.
yeah, not Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man.
This one's about a boxer and his gold digging wife, apparently, according to Wikipedia. So, but and written by Garrett Fort, who would be another one of the many people that was kind of involved in those Universal monster movies. The stage play, by the way, was written by Hamilton Dean and John Balderston. And, I think it's, worth noting some of the names. Obviously, Bela Lugosi is a name that's endured because of the character.
Yeah.
But there's other actors and actresses in this movie that are maybe more well known at the time, but, not today. Helen Chandler, David Manners, Dwight Fry, Edward Van Sloan, Herbert Bunston, Francis Dade, Joan Standing, Charles Gerard, and Halliwell Hobbs.
Yeah, I mean, they're all. I mean, yeah, they're not names that are thrown around regularly today, but that's because this was almost 100 years ago.
Yes, but like Edward Van Sloan appeared in multiple of these Universal monster movies. So did Dwight Fry.
Mm-hmm.
David Manners. So, and again, this is the time also when like these actors and actresses would be contracted to a studio.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about the scene in Three Amigos when they're talking to Joe Montana and they want to ask for a raise.
Yeah.
Do you know what nada is? Isn't that little spread that you... Don't worry. Three Amigos is coming.
Yes, it is coming. Don't know when yet, but it is coming.
But yeah, at that time, they were contracted to studios, and then so they'd obviously appear in a lot of movies for those studios.
Yeah.
That's what we have here. So
you mentioned Dwight Fry. He plays Renfield in this, and
yes.
I love his portrayal.
Oh, it's so good
in this movie. I love the way that he plays Renfield. He has those crazy eyes.
He has the crazy eyes. I think Al Pacino must have taken a cue from him.
Yeah.
In some of his movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he's got the crazy eyes and just the manic laughter that you could you sometimes just see Pacino just embody.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's terrific. I agree. I also particularly like Edward Van Sloan.
Yes. He is excellent as Van Helsing. Which is this the oldest Van Helsing that we have seen in a movie?
I think it is. No.
Okay. Because I guess the other.
No, I'm sorry. It is. Yes, because in Nosferatu they changed the character name.
Okay.
And they change a few details about who he is.
Okay. But I'm just saying, like, age-wise.
Oh, the old. I see.
If you look, because if you look at the more recent movies, like one that comes to mind is Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman.
Yep.
And they make him a younger guy because he's a monster hunter.
And what? Right? Peter Cushing was he older than Hugh Jackman, but was in his 40s.
Yeah, but so it's like they tend to at least more modern retellings of the story. They tend to make Van Helsing a little bit younger and a little bit more formidable.
Yeah, a little bit more spry. Even though he's kind of a badass in this one too.
He is. But he also, I mean, he never has to go toe to toe with Dracula.
No, he doesn't. So, yeah, I think you're right because he's like in his 60s, like the actor was anyway.
Anyway, so
I also want to mention Charles Gerard. He cracks me up.
yeah,
You talk about kind of your stage overacting,
yep.
but he's hilarious. But yeah, it's it's always interesting watching some of these movies too. Like we kind of talked about with Casablanca, something that's older, is just seeing the kind of the development and the arc
Yeah.
of how movies are done. And here's a very good example again, just because again it's so early in the filmmaking, and
And I mean,
we'll
even
get to it kind of in
even
the opening scene.
in the what 11 years between this and Casablanca,
yes,
there's a huge difference in just the style of acting.
huge difference in the acting style, even the even just like the cinematography, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's it's still largely set based there, right? But sets are a little bit more expansive, and you
Yeah.
move around differently.
Yeah, I mean,
This one definitely has to rely on a few more tricks with the filming of it.
mm-hmm.
It's got, the editing cuts are definitely much more obvious here
Yep.
Than what they are in Casablanca.
But yeah, it's just interesting looking at movies today and then going back to where, like, to the early days of film and
Yes.
just seeing how different things were. Not different in a bad way, just different. No. And just to see how things have evolved over time.
Definitely. And this is still, like, I would take this over a lot of the movies that come out now. So
yeah, me too.
Because it's effective.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of reading on it since, saying it's that time of year at there always just seems to be certain like horror movies or scary movies, they talk about people fainting in the movie theater or getting sick or whatever it is, and apparently that happened with this also.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I could see it happening with this because
I could definitely see it.
Back when this came out, there was not much like this out.
Exactly.
You didn't have a horror movie or monster movie, like every other weekend like you do coming out now.
And that, you've kind of cut your, I shouldn't say cut your teeth, but, you've heard, obviously, again, like vampire legends, you knew about the book, but now it's being visualized. And especially then, like, okay, yeah, you're sitting in a dark theater and this black and white grainy film thing comes on, and it's like, yeah, I could see its effect because like a lot of this movie is like shot very, there's not many scenes that are kind of shot kind of like in light. They keep it dark, right? And because a lot of the scenes involve Dracula. He's a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't come out during the daytime.
No, he doesn't.
So yeah, the use of lighting it works really to its advantage in terms of it probably being subpar. Actually, it enhances the
it
the
does.
mood of it.
It really does.
So the limitations sometimes make things better, just like the shark difficulties made things better in Jaws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I have much else to really say before we dive into it.
All right, let's get into it then. So as always, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about this entire movie, beginning, middle, and end. So if you have not seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, pause the podcast, watch the movie, and come back and listen. If you have seen it or you just don't mind being spoiled, and keep on listening, but you have been warned, we will be spoiling this movie that is almost 100 years old.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it yet, that's kind of on you.
Yeah. And if you have no idea about any Dracula story, it's on you.
And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it. It's a good
Amazon
movie.
Prime.
It's very enjoyable.
Almost everyone has Prime, so like, yeah, and it's good. It's good. It'd be a good primer for the Halloween season as we close out October.
Yes.
So, but anyhow, how the movie starts is with the Batman logo.
Yes, the Batman logo comes up.
And Swan Lake is playing.
Yes. Swan Lake is playing while the Batman logo shows up on the screen. Which is crazy because this is before Batman was created.
Exactly.
It's
like The Simpsons. They predicted it. They predicted it. It's The Simpsons.
Didn't come out for another 8 years. Batman wasn't created for another 8 years. And this logo that shows up is almost the exact Batman logo.
It's the first thing I was like, that reminds me of Batman.
Yeah.
That's a Batman logo. What's the Batman logo doing here? And I thought, oh, bats. I get it.
Bats, one of the things that Dracula can turn into. That and wolves. We never see any wolves. We hear wolves.
No, we hear them. We do hear them. We don't see them, which is good. I think that's the smart thing to do here. But yeah,
but we see several bats.
As we talked about with Casablanca, right? And as many people kind of know, especially before, it's really kind of starting, after 1970, they kind of start changing kind of how credits are done. But they did the entire credit roll at the beginning of the movie. And that's what's happening here.
Yep.
They're doing the credits over the Batman logo while Swan Lake plays.
Yep.
So what's interesting, so I had to look this up. I was like, okay, why is Swan Lake playing?
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
So I looked this up. So this is from Wikipedia, and I guess they are using Roger Ebert's review of this movie in the late 90s for his great movie series as kind of the source. Owing to the cost of adding an original musical score to the film's soundtracks, no score had been composed specifically for the film. So I guess some of these early movies, when they started having sound like this, right? Mm-hmm. Even though I guess technically the silent movies would have music going over them also. But they would use excerpts from like classical pieces like Swan Lake.
Makes sense. That makes sense that, they would use something that the audience would know.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I was thinking, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Playing something that they know as they're just waiting for this to start, right? It's kind of like, again, it's a theater type experience, right? And so you're just kind of waiting as it begins. You're just kind of reading through this, and then it can go in to the actual movie or performance, whatever it might be, right? Because you can even see that sometimes with other plays before they really do, they get into the play, right? Sometimes you have the orchestra in the pit playing something before the play begins, right? But so yeah, we move from the Batman logo.
I wonder if any of these Universal monster movies start with Peter and the Wolf.
They could do that.
Maybe Wolfman.
Have you ever seen there's an Elmo episode where Baby Bear goes to see a production of Swan Lake?
I have not seen that Elmo episode.
And he's going to see the Boston Pops are performing. And you have different Sesame Street characters acting out the different parts of the play, and then
that's awesome.
You see different Sesame Street characters get devoured by a Muppet Wolf.
That is awesome. It would be great if they brought Rolf in for that.
Yes. It makes you kind of want there to be, since there's the Count on Sesame Street, you need the Count to play Dracula.
Yes.
And he just starts to suck the blood out of Big Bird.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, 1 bite, ha, 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 ha. 2 bites, ha, 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 ha. All right. Anyway, so the credits stop, right? And we're kind of in the mountains of Romania, right?
Yes.
And there's this horse and there's this carriage, right? And there's horses leading the carriage, right? Because this is 1931.
Well, it's
A lot of people.
It's Transylvania.
Yes, Transylvania, and it's in the middle of the mountains.
Which is a sort of a section of Romania. But yeah, so yeah, there's this carriage.
And at that point, that's still the primary mode of transport for most people.
Yeah, I mean there were cars, but not many people used them.
Not for the common people.
Nope. So yeah, this carriage is just coming through the mountains,
and we cut to the inside of it, right? And there's 5 people on this carriage, right? There is a younger lady, an older lady, a couple, a husband and wife, and then kind of a younger man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's kind of going a little bit fast, right? And no, that's right. No, not before that, right? The younger lady, she's kind of reading from like some guidebook, right? Telling them about the region.
Yeah.
Right. Because you can tell that she definitely is not from there. She's going to visit this place. She's a tourist, or she's visiting a family from
Daisy
the old
Belmore
country.
Is her name. Daisy Belmore is the actress's name. She plays Coach Passenger.
What does she play?
Coach Passenger.
Coach Passenger. An appropriate title.
Daisy Belmore plays Coach Passenger. And
so they're going through the Borgo Pass, is what she says. And she talks about the crumbling peaks of the castles of a bygone age, right? Which is kind of good. Like you do get that sense. They play this aspect. The book does it too. The novel of kind of this old world, old ideas against this new developing world. So the book came out in like the late 1800s. So like the late 19th century, early 20th century, right? As we're pushing through the Industrial Revolution into this new century that's pushing really towards a new millennium, right?
Now, I guess it could have been
together.
Carla Lamel.
Does she also play Coach Passenger?
She also plays Coach Passenger. So the 3 people that are in there that aren't named in the movie are all Coach Passenger.
Okay. So we get but then you get one passenger. This is Renfield asking them to slow down, right? He thinks the carriage is going much too fast. But the gentleman, the husband that's sitting there, is saying, no, we must reach there by sundown. And and someone's like, why? He's like, Wolfburgen's night.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, what is that? He's like, the night of evil, Nosferatu. We must pray to the Virgin. This is the devil's night. Everyone, the older lady, she's just sitting back across from us. She's just like, this guy is crazy. What's he talking about?
Yep.
And Renfield still is like, he's going much too fast. This is way, way too fast. He's concerned about safety. He's concerned about safety later, too.
Mm-hmm.
So we get an exterior shot of the castle now, not the castle, of the carriage. It's approaching a small little village. Nice, quaint little village. It's kept up well. Right, it's in the this little field area of the mountains and the hills, right? And we cut to the inside, one of the an inn, right? And there's people cooking. There's a fire going in the middle. There's a baby bassinet, and I love that this little baby, is playing with like straw.
Yeah, yeah,
because that's what they have for the baby.
That's what they
don't have a doll.
That's what they had for the baby.
So hey, that's what they did. But they have a nice, simple life, right? You see a few of them praying, and we kind of cut to a window and at one of the other houses, and there's these younger girls that are, probably, in their teens, early 20s, looking out, right? And this other guy, he comes out. He must be the proprietor of this inn, right? And he greets them. He's got a magnificent mustache.
Yes, he does have a magnificent mustache.
And everyone gets off the carriage, right? But Renfield is ordering the driver and then I guess the stewards that help with the inn to leave his luggage on.
Yeah.
And there's confusion, right? Because it's been a long day. It's getting towards dinner time, right? About why he's telling them to keep the luggage on. They're thinking he's going to stay there for the night.
Yeah. But no, he's got to go farther down the road. He's got to meet up with another carriage. And so he's talking to these people outside.
Right. And some of them don't speak English. Some of them just like speak like Romanian or whatever language they have. But the proprietor, he speaks English, right? And you can tell like Renfield is an Englishman.
Yes.
Right.
He's very proper.
But this guy, he's translating between the guys and Renfield, right? It's like, oh no, I'm supposed to be meeting this other carriage at midnight in the Borgo Pass. And then he's like, wait, what? What did he say? And he crosses himself, blesses himself, right? And his wife does the same thing. His wife's there.
Whose carriage are you supposed to be meeting? He's like, Count Dracula.
He's like, Dracula. He's like shivering now. Like, here's this guy that's jovial, very welcoming, and all of a sudden, like, he's scared.
Yeah.
Like, this name means business to him. He's like, it's like no, you must stay. And he kind of points out to the horizon. You see the sun just slowly going over down the hills, right? A guy comes out. He starts lighting the gas lights around a little village, right? It's like, see, no. They come out at night, Dracula and his wives, and they feed on the living. And then he's like, that's superstition.
Yeah. They turn into bats and wolves, and
it's like, and the guy can just tell. It's like, okay, I'm not going to convince this guy that this is to stay.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not afraid.
So the guy's wife comes and is like, well, if you are going to go, well, Renfield, no, he says it. The guy says, like, if you are going to go, then take this. And his wife comes up with a
crucifix,
the crucifix, right?
And a crucifix. And so he takes it.
He gets into the carriage. The carriage turns around, and they kind of just watch in the doorway, because they're ready to get in, because they don't want to be out there at night.
Nope.
Right? They got their wolfsbane. They got their crucifixes. They're ready for this night. They're not messing around. So he goes up over the hill in the opposite direction from where it came in, right? And it cuts to this castle now. And again, it's like this decrepit castle from the outside, right? And it cuts to like the crypt, the basement of it, and it's just an earthen ground floor, right? There's nothing down here except possums and some coffins.
Yep. And you see a coffin start to open. You see a hand come out to push the lid up. And this is one of Dracula's wives.
Yeah, you see some of them kind of come up.
Three of them come up.
There's three of them, and they're kind of walking towards the camera. But then it cuts, and that's when we see Bela Lugosi, as Dracula, standing there. We all just kind of stare at each other. They're ready to ride that tandem bike.
Yep, they're going to ride the tandem bike.
So there really is there is like the book. The law was a lot more explicit about it. The movie kind of gets there a little bit because this is pre-code where they can kind of sneak in a little bit of the sexual undertones of this movie. So, but it cuts back to the carriage. And it's dark and it's foggy. It's windy, right? And
the carriage is going, up this hill, and they see they see another carriage just parked up ahead.
Yep, it's ready for them. And like the thing stops, the driver throws off.
Yeah,
Renfield's
driver
luggage.
throws off Renfield's luggage and gets out of there.
Renfield is like, what? He has barely any time to process what just happened. Because then he looks at the other carriage, and the driver turns around, stares at him with those rape eyes.
And the driver is Bela Lugosi.
Right?
Now Renfield does not know that is Dracula.
Yes, he just thinks it's the driver, right? So he hands up he's like, are you going to Dracula's castle? And he just kind of nods. So he gives him his luggage, and he gets up in there, right? And he's riding along. We get an exterior shot as it's approaching the castle, and it's going fast. The path to it, there's kind of a cliff on either side of it, right? And again, it's too fast for Renfield, so he pokes his head out the carriage to tell the driver to slow down. But there's no driver. There's just a bat
driver.
Hovering over horses, and he's like, okay. Right? And his luggage is not there either now, right? So
his luggage is still on the.
It's still there.
It's still there. But they get to the castle, and he sees that there's there's no driver.
Yep. There's no
And
more bat.
his luggage is still on the carriage, and the door to the castle opens. And so he
takes
comments
his,
about
cane,
he comments
his
about how
jacket.
there's no driver, but the carriage goes off
right.
before
That's what happens
before he can unload his luggage.
That's right. All he has is his cane and like his hat and his coat.
And so he goes inside. He's greeted by Count Dracula.
Well, before he's greeted, this is empty.
Ah, yes.
He's the only one in there right now, right? And he's looking
around
all of it. There's an armadillo.
Yeah, there's an armadillo. A couple of armadillos scurrying around.
Because it's hard to get a sense of the scale and the scope again, because it's pretty much empty. There's cobwebs.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of light coming through the windows.
Huge windows.
Yeah, they're huge
windows, but there's no light coming through them because it's nighttime.
Weird. So like
there's a few candles here and there, but not really much light inside.
It's a very disconcerting feel to it, right?
Yeah,
and again, this is where
cobwebs.
Having the limited budget and just kind of making it grainy really lends itself well.
Yeah.
To experiencing it as he does. And he's looking around, and then his back's kind of to this huge staircase, which has this massive cobweb in the middle of it. And
he's mostly concerned right now with his luggage.
Yeah.
Because the carriage just, took off and
he's also thinking, okay, it took off and it looks like no one lives here. Like, what's going on? And then we have his back's to the staircase, and that's when we see Bela Lugosi at the top, and he starts slowly walking down.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't see it yet, right? And we see him approach the spider web, but then it cuts right before it as he starts to turn around, as Renfield starts to turn around. The next shot we see is Dracula's on the other side of the web walking down.
Yeah, walking down the stairs.
Straight through this web. And then he sees him, and, they catch eyes, and all he says is, "I am Dracula," right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, and Renfield's like, oh, I'm so glad. I thought this might be like the wrong, house or castle, right? It wasn't expecting it to look like this. And then they have this kind of like awkward conversation a bit, right?
Yeah, and then Dracula leads him up the stairs.
Yeah.
And this time, when he gets to the spider web, you actually see Dracula walk through it.
You see it? Well, yes, you do. It's very effective. And you see Renfield kind of step back because he's confused by this. Before he does that, though, is we do get the other two famous lines where he says, "I bid you welcome," right? And then it's right before they get to the spider webs is when they hear the wolves outside.
Yes.
Right? And then that's when Dracula says, "Children of the night, what music they make." And he walks up, and he goes through the web, but then
Renfield
we get the view
walks
from the
up
other
to it.
side,
Yeah,
right, from like Dracula's point of view.
And Renfield walks up to the web and stops and looks at it, and
takes out his cane,
and kind of moves the web aside while he walks through the hole he made in it.
Right, and then Dracula says there's a spider that scurries off.
It's a big spider.
That's a big.
It's a
big
giant spider that scurries up toward the top of the web.
It's like a spider spinning his web on an unwilling victim, and then says something about blood is the life. And Rachel just keeps thinking, this dude is nuts.
Yeah.
I should have stayed in the village.
And then they get to the top of the stairs, and Renfield brings up, I'm concerned about my luggage. I wasn't able to get it off the coach. And Dracula says, "Oh, don't worry. We have taken care of your luggage.
Yes.
Your luggage has been brought in for you."
And so then he leads him into his the chambers where he's going to be for this night. And what we discovered is he's there because he is negotiating a lease or a sale
of a castle,
of an abbey or a castle,
or an abbey
to
in England.
Dracula in England,
in London,
outside of London, right? Yeah. And so he had, that's part of why he's worried about it, because he's got all the papers that are supposed to be signed for this.
Well, the papers are in his briefcase, which he has with him.
He still has that, right? So they get into this, this chamber, his bedroom he's going to be in. And it's much more.
There's a small table. And
there's a small table. There's a bed. And there's a giant fireplace. There's a fire going.
Yeah, there's a giant fireplace. And Dracula, he asks him if he's hungry. He's like, I assume that you're hungry.
It's late. Oh, yes. Thank you.
So he directs him over to a small table with one chair and one plate, and Renfield is like, oh, well, aren't you gonna eat?
That's right.
And he's like, no, I'm not going to eat right now. And then he gets a bottle of wine.
Yep. It's like, this is very old wine.
This is very, very old wine. And he's like, oh, aren't you going to have... And there's only one glass, one cup.
It's like, are you drinking any?
Aren't you going to drink any? He's like, oh, no, I never drink wine. I never drink wine.
It's a great delivery. But he's like, I trust you find all this more inviting and welcoming. He's like, oh, yes, this is very cozy. And so they get down to business, right? And so Dracula's kind of looking through the papers and Renfield's explaining some of them. He's like, oh, I hope I brought enough, labels for your belongings. It's like, I'm bringing 3 boxes. He's like, oh, I guess we'll have enough. He's like, yes, and I've chartered a ship for us. We are leaving tomorrow evening. He's like, oh, that's great, right? And he looks at the bed. It's like, hope you find it comfortable, right? And so as he's doing this, Renfield's still kind of cleaning up some of the papers and all, and he pricks himself with his paperclip.
Yeah,
and he starts bleeding. And then as he's starting to bleed, that's when Dracula, he's turning around and he sees it and he smells it and he starts sneaking in on him, right? And Renfield doesn't see this at first because he's just kind of looking at his thumb.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I think it's his middle finger.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, and then he kind of goes to suck it a little bit just before Dracula gets there. He's like, oh, it's, no, it's just a small cut. It's nothing really. And Dracula is still kind of closing in, but then that's when the crucifix,
the crucifix
falls out of his jacket,
falls out of his pocket and like lands right over his finger. And then you get that
he recoils,
that quick recoil that Bela Lugosi is known for with his Dracula. Puts his arm over in front of his face, and that just over dramatic recoil. Yeah.
And that's that until then, then he, they finish it up. And that's when, he pours the wine for Renfield.
And Renfield
drinks some.
And then he starts feeling kind of funny.
Yep. And then Dracula tells him, good night. I will see you tomorrow. And he leaves.
And then, Dracula leaves and Renfield gets up and he's kind of stumbling around.
He stumbles around and we get a view of the brides. There's 2 doors to this room because Dracula kind of exits stage right. And then we kind of see the wives kind of coming in from stage left. As Renfield is kind of stumbling towards this balcony that's coming off, right? And there's these giant glass doors that go to it. And he's just kind of staring out there when a bat kind of flies there and just, again, just hovering and flying. Giant bat. And he's confused by that. And, that's when we see now he's there and behind him we can see the wives now, right? And that's when he's really feeling it. And then he passes out.
He just collapses onto the floor.
And the wives start to get closer, but then we see we don't see the bat anymore. We see
the bat kind of flies
behind
away.
The curtains. The curtains are kind of hiding it a little bit, but you can kind of see from that deck.
Yeah, from the balcony, you see the Dracula
kind of emerge from behind the curtains. He kind of shoos away the wives, and then he just kind of slowly moves in.
And then it fades to black.
Fades to black. And then we get a title card about this ship that is in, sailing to London. And it's this in the middle of a horrific storm. Mm-hmm. We're seeing the sailors there. They're trying to do their best to...
But, the waves are coming up and just water's just dumping onto the ship. And the storm is bad.
We cut to the bowels of the ship, right? And there's a coffin there, and we see Renfield. Renfield
looks crazed. His hair's all messed up. His eyes are wide.
And now he's just saying, Master!
Saying, Master, it's time.
And then that's when, again, we get the emerging from the coffin, this hand. The next thing we have after that is, and we see Dracula slowly walk out one of these doorways on the ship. And he's just staring out there at the men trying to
then all of a sudden,
save the ship.
The ship is in the harbor. And the harbor master goes out and notices that all of the crew are dead.
Yep. And we see this really like great. It's a little like silhouette of like the captain. That his hands are still attached to the
Yeah,
wheel.
he's still holding on to the wheel.
And he kind of talks about, no, they're all dead. And like the captain looks like he's had the fright of his life. There's no survivors. But then they open up a door. At the bottom of it, they see Renfield and they look at him. It's like, oh my, he's crazy.
Yeah, so they send him to Dr. Seward's sanitarium.
So we get a shot of two different newspaper articles, right? One just about the ship coming in, entire crew being dead. The other one talks about the sole survivor and how he gets sent to the sanatorium of Dr. Seward. And we cut to the streets of London. It's dark out. It's nighttime. And you get people wearing the wear of the day. And now there's Dracula. And Dracula's wearing he looks a little bit different now. He's dressed more for London. He still has his own Dracula style to it. He does not have the Gary Oldman boobs.
No, he didn't have that before either.
He didn't either, yes.
Gary Oldman's the only one that has the boobs on his head.
So he's walking, and this scene here, like this is probably one of the ones that probably would have affected people, right? There's this youngish girl, probably late teens, early 20s, trying to sell these little flowers for your buttonhole, and we see Dracula slowly walk towards her, right? And she's standing by like this pillar, and like this is I don't know, this gave me big like Jack the Ripper vibes.
Oh yeah.
So, and you just see him slowly walk towards her, and she steps back and kind of disappears behind this pillar, and he disappears behind there too, and we just hear her scream. And then we see Drac again. Now he's walking down some street again, right? And then you hear this kind of commotion. Someone's discovered her, and they're all running towards the scene of this crime. And he just keeps walking the other way, and he eventually walks to the symphony.
Yes. So he goes into the symphony, into the balcony, and there are a few people there.
Yep. And he gives so he's seen a few people there, right? There's 4 people there.
Mm-hmm. There are 4 people there.
There's Dr. Seward,
his daughter, Mina, and then there's also
her
Lucy.
fiancé, Jonathan.
Yes, her fiancé, John Harker, and Lucy,
which is Mina's like best friend. And so then we see him kind of up towards the balcony, and the piece that's being played is Wagner's Die Meistersinger von Nürnberg, and then also Schubert's Unfinished Symphony. Anyway, so Dracula talks with this like little usher girl, right? And then you can tell he's like mesmerized her. He's hypnotized her. You will remember nothing of this later.
Yeah. Once it is done, you will remember nothing of it.
So she goes into the little balcony suite that the 4 of them have and tells Dr. Seward that there was a call for him from his home, right? So he excuses himself and he walks out, and then we see Dracula there. He's like, Excuse me, I'm sorry, but I couldn't help but over here. Are you the Dr. Seward that lives by Carfax Abbey? He's like, well, yes, I am. It's like, oh, we're new neighbors. I just bought it. Oh, like that. Oh, and so like, oh, that's wonderful. And Jonathan's like, oh, that's great. It'd be nice to actually see light inside that place. Right?
He has no idea.
It's funny. He stays in the dark about this for a long time.
Yes, he does. So, he introduces himself as Count Dracula.
From Transylvania. And Dr. Seward excuses himself to go to this phone call, and then Dracula has
Dr. Seward introduces his.
That's right.
The other people in the balcony. Introduces John and his daughter Mina and Lucy, and then he excuses himself to go.
And it's left with Dracula and the 3 of them, and they just had this conversation. And Jonathan's like, "Are you going to be making changes?"
And Dracula seems to be a little more focused on Mina.
Yes.
Than anyone else.
He does.
Not like super focused, but just a little bit more focused on her than on the others.
I would agree with that. And he just says, no, I'm going to make very little changes. It reminds me of the battlements of my castle back at home. And I think Mina and Jonathan are like, what's with this dude? Meanwhile, then Lucy starts
is just enthralled with him.
Reciting this poem about death.
Mm-hmm.
And Dracula's finally like, to die must be truly wonderful. So like, oh, excuse me?
Yeah.
And Jonathan says something, and Dracula's just like, Mr. Harker, There are far more worse things than death in this world. not creepy at all.
No, not at all.
So I
Not
like
at
how
all.
it cuts to Lucy then says that to make sure that he realizes the message that she's gonna stay. No, Mina says it because Mina lives with Dr. Seward, who lives just like on the outskirts of London, right?
Yep.
But Lucy lives like right in London, right? And so, yeah, Mina tells it, her dad, like, yeah, tell them that I'm gonna stay in London with Lucy that night. Because like the next scene, it's the two of them in Lucy's like bedroom, her apartment, and they're talking about the evening.
Yeah. And Lucy keeps going on and on about Dracula.
Mina's kind of mocking them a little bit.
Yeah.
She's like, it's like, I will make little improvements. And but Lucy's like, hey, you have your man. Let me dream about mine. That's kind of what she, how she leaves.
Kind of what she's doing.
So, but then we cut to the night, and Mina is not Mina. Mina's already retired. We're still with Lucy. She's in her bed. She's reading. Right. She's starting to get drowsy. And we cut to a scene outside of her house there, and a cop says something to Dracula about, oh, it looks like the park's closing soon, right? Dracula just kind of stays there. He looks up at the window, and he's a peeping Tom. He's just staring at her as she's getting ready for bed.
He's got his binoculars out, and he's watching her, get undressed and, stand there in the window in her bra.
And then she falls out. Then he falls out of a tree, and Michael J. Fox pushes him out of the way,
and then gets hit by her dad's car.
And this entire movie could have been prevented if Michael J. Fox just would have left the fuck alone.
Yeah. Yeah. If he hadn't gotten in that DeLorean and gone back to 1931, if he would have just stayed in 1955,
Dracula would have been, maybe it would have to be like a silver plated car with a stake that would have gone through his heart.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it was.
It could have been from, any of the Mad Max movies would have that.
Could have been. Well, it's also not just the stake through the heart. It's the stake through the heart pinning him down into the soil where he was buried in.
Because he gets pinned. Yes.
That's what kills the vampire.
Yes. Anyway,
according to the lore.
So none of this happens. Instead, he's out there. He's staring up there at the window, right? And now we get Lucy. She's finally nodding off, right? And she's falling asleep. And then we cut to a window, and there's that bat again, that giant bat. Just is flapping there,
watching them sleep.
Flies into the room, and now it becomes Bela Lugosi. And he slowly walks, right? And then he has his creepy little hands. He goes in and goes down onto her neck.
To the neck.
Right? And next thing we see, we're in this large operating room. There's like 4 doctors working on her, but then there's like 100 others watching this. Yeah. When did they get them all together to watch this?
Isn't it Dr. Seward that is?
He's in there.
Yes. Yeah. Isn't he the one that's really performing more of the stuff?
Yes, he is
in there.
And he was saying okay, well, how long since the last transfusion? 4 hours. And they realize she's dead. They can't save her now, right? She's lost too much of the blood. They keep giving her blood, but it doesn't take. It's not staying with her. So her life force is out.
She had all her blood sucked out by Dracula.
That's what happens.
That's what happens when you fall in love with a vampire.
That's right. Yeah. He's just he's fascinating.
Well, I'm sure she doesn't think he's all that fascinating now. So what I think is funny is you never hear any mention of Lucy for the rest of the movie.
Well, we kind of
You
do
would,
as the woman in white later, but you don't really hear
yeah,
anything
but
about it immediately after.
no, but you would think that Mina would sort of mourn her death a little bit more than she does.
Right. That's the thing is you don't really get to it until later. And then like yeah, like this massive thing happens. And really what you get cut to is just the sanatorium. And you don't even hear anyone else really say anything about it, about Lucy.
No,
Even though, her is essentially drained.
but yeah, it goes to the sanitarium, and you have Renfield talking you hear wolves outside howling.
That's right.
And you hear Renfield talking to the wolves.
And this is daytime first, right? And then like you see some of the patients, and then you hear Renfield screaming, right? And it's like someone just says, "He must want his bugs again."
Yeah,
right.
He must want his flies.
And then we cut in, and he's kind of struggling with the orderly there, right? And the orderly is Martin, played by Charles Gerard. And he's about to throw out some of these flies that Renfield has. And Renfield does not want this to happen.
No.
And all of a sudden he just changes his tune.
Like, for the blood.
He needs to eat them so
that he can consume their blood.
Right? It's like, so they kind of have this struggle. And then it cuts to this scene with this doctor or scientist, and he's doing some lab type things, and he cut the table, and that's when he realizes, and you hear him say, like, this is the work of a vampire. And this is Van Helsing.
Yes.
And he is analyzing Renfield's blood. Right? Because, Stewart, I guess, was intrigued enough about this Renfield case. He called in Professor Van Helsing.
He called one of the big guns.
Which they don't get to in this movie, but in the novel, Van Helsing was one of Stewart's professors in medical school. Right? And Stewart's like not believing in this vampire stuff either right now.
Right? No, but Van Helsing, he truly believes in vampires.
It's like, I can, and Stewart's like, oh, but that's just superstition. It's like, well, I can get you some evidence, and stuff that was once yesterday's superstition
will be fact.
Right? And it's funny, like this, there's a certain amount of truth to that. There's a lot of things that they used to think were kind of just not certain, like atoms. And then we made the right discoveries, right?
Yep.
So we then cut to Stewart's office. Now it's just him and Van Helsing, and they're just talking all about this. And then that's when they bring in Renfield, right? Because Van Helsing wants to meet this guy.
Yeah.
Right. And what's this nature of the conversation at first?
So I think Renfield starts by complaining about them taking his bugs, because he needs the bugs. He needs the bugs so that he can consume them for their blood. And I don't think he really goes into a whole lot more.
He's not getting a whole lot into this scene. But what we get then is, Van Helsing comes in to shake his hand, right? But Van Helsing has wolfsbane, and Renfield reacts to this.
Renfield reacts to the wolfbane.
He tells him to get his filthy hands off you. Get your damn hands off me, you damn dirty ape. But yeah.
And Charlton Heston is standing in the corner.
And look at the window. The sun's starting to set, right? And soon it's like, and there's a howl, right? And it's like, and Renfield just talks like, oh, I'm gonna have the bad dreams. And he goes into some other kind of raving things at this point because the wolfsbane just has set him off.
Yeah.
So they take him back to his cell, and we see the sun start to set. And we cut back, then we see the hand coming out of the coffin again. Right? And that's when we see this is when we see Renfield in his cell. Right? He's like, oh yeah, he knows too much.
This is where he's talking. It seems like he's talking to himself.
But he's actually talking to this wolf call that we hear.
That's outside, yeah.
Right? And then, he's like, well, you got to come back, monster. Not monster, but master.
Master.
And he starts saying, oh, not her. Not her, master.
Not her, master.
Please don't.
So, Renfield has taken a liking to somebody. You don't quite know who just yet.
No, we don't. Not yet.
But he's clearly taken a liking to somebody.
He has a preference. Dracula has a preference. Everybody has a preference. And that's when we see outside the window again that bat. And it's just hovering there for a little bit. And then it flies in. And then we see whose room it is. It's Mina's room. And we kind of get a similar type of shot. He comes in slowly towards her and starts bringing his mouth down towards her. Right? And half of it, expecting at some point someone just to walk in to startle Dracula. But no. We cut to the next day, and she's sitting on the couch with John. And she's got like a scarf around her neck. And they're talking about these bad dreams that she's had.
Yeah. And so they're in Seward's house on the couch and then like the living room area. And Van Helsing's in there with them. And they're talking about these bad dreams. And Van Helsing is there. He's sort of taking notes and he's, piecing all this together.
He's a very curious chap.
And then they notice that, she's wearing the scarf and they get her to take the scarf off. And
she doesn't want to at first, but she finally does. And then he sees these two little like pinpricks.
Yeah, he sees these two little marks on her neck.
It's like, oh, how long have you had those?
And she's like, well, they weren't there when I went to bed last night.
Yep, so after the dream.
Yeah, they weren't there until after the dream. I woke up and I had them. And so this, a light bulb goes off in Van Helsing's head.
Yep.
Things start to click together. The pieces start to come together. And
he's like, you got to stay here. Be, safe with us. You're too weak right now to go anywhere else. And, John kind of wants to take her back to his place, like in London,
where he can protect her. But Van Helsing, assures them she's safer right here because he has placed Wolfsbane in her bedroom and also in the living room area where they're in different areas of the house.
Seward's just like, because at first, like, she's trying to protest, like, no, I must insist that you should, go upstairs. I'm your father, right? But before that happens, we hear the maid, right? And she's like, Dracula. And it startles everybody. And turn around, and there's Dracula. There. He's standing there. Right? And so Dr. Seward's like, he's like, oh yeah, it's good that you're back, Dr. Seward, right? And Dr. Seward, right, introduces Dracula to Van Helsing, right? Because he's met Mina, he's met John, right? He hasn't met Van Helsing. However, he says, oh, Van Helsing, a man whose name is even famous.
Yeah.
In Transylvania.
Yeah. So he's heard of him. He's never met him, but he's definitely heard of Van Helsing.
When I meet Van Helsing,
I swear to the Lord, I
swear to.
Oh yeah. So anyway, they they're having a conversation, and they're all Seward and Dracula are having a conversation. And then Van Helsing is over by John, and they're talking, and he picks up this little box that when he flips the lid open, there's a mirror.
A little
inside.
cigarette case.
His little cigarette case, and there's a mirror inside. And he notices, he turns the mirror toward where Dr. Seward and Mina and Dracula are all standing and talking. And he looks in the mirror, and all he sees are Seward and Mina. He doesn't see Dracula standing there between them.
He looks at, and he looks over there. He looks back. He's kind of checking.
Yeah, he sees him with his eyes, but he doesn't see him in the mirror.
Right, and then Jonathan kind of sees it, and he's like, okay. And then, they finally convince Mina to go upstairs, and Dracula says, no, you can go up. I will talk with you later. Right?
Yeah.
And there's an implication they've had conversations before This isn't the first time that he's told her other stories.
So
and
John
then
takes
Dr.
me
Stewart kind of
upstairs.
moves back, and he's closer to this cigarette case now. This looking, and he kind of sees that there's no reflection here. And so then all of them, they're kind of still talking. They had the three of them near the cigarette case, and Dracula kind of across the room.
And so Van Helsing calls Dracula over. He's like, "Hey, Dracula, Count Dracula, I want to
before
show
you
you
go,
something."
Yeah, before I need to show you something.
And so he walks over to him and he holds the case out.
I was a little bit confused. I really need to test something here, right?
Yeah, he opens he holds the case out as closed and he opens it up right in front of, like, it facing Dracula. And once Dracula sees it, he doesn't have a reflection. He grabs the case and smashes it on the ground.
Smashes it at the ground.
Grabs it, throws it down on the ground, and smashes it.
And he kind of apologizes. And he looks at Dr. Stewart like, I have a thing against mirrors. Van Helsing will explain it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then
because now Dracula knows that Van Helsing knows that Dracula knows that Van Helsing knows.
I know. You know. Anyway. Bye.
So Dracula excuses himself, and then Van Helsing tells Seward he is a vampire.
He's a vampire.
Is a vampire.
No, you're crazy. Right? He's like, no, like this, and this. And then John goes off to the balcony and he looks out like, because they hear like a wolf, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's no werewolves in London.
Oh,
tell that to
someone
tell that to Warren Zevon.
Yeah, tell that to Warren Zevon. And the American werewolf in London.
Anyhow, yeah, I couldn't help but think of Werewolves of London during this movie.
Great song. But anyway, so Van Helsing, he devises a plan that he's going to have to, because he knows how to kill a vampire from his studies. He knows that you have to use a wooden stake to pin them into the soil where they were buried. Now, the problem with that is they're not in Transylvania. So London soil is not where he was buried. So they don't have Transylvanian soil around.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same continent, but again, England is an island.
Mm-hmm.
And this is still 1931, right? It's not like you can hop that quickly over there to get the soil. So they obviously had to figure this out.
Yeah, that's figured out. So they go and they visit Renfield at the same time.
By the way, so I don't wonder how, like,
Renfield to them.
The Renfield just comes there. Like, he escapes. Like, remember they did the orderly there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of tell this. They find out times where, like, when Van Helsing is first discussing the case, it's like, and you say, like, he leaves, he's on account for like hours at a time. Like,
yeah,
what do you think is up with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how this Van Helsing just has this knowledge of how exactly to kill a vampire. Like, someone's figured it out and written it down as a surefire way they're going to kill a vampire. Or maybe
he's figured it out.
Yes,
maybe
he's a smart dude.
It's a lot of trial and error, and maybe he's killed vampires before. It never really specifies that Dracula is his first vampire.
That's true.
So. Anyway, so Renfield comes out to him because he wants to help Van Helsing, because he's now upset because he did not want Dracula to go after Mina.
Right. So he's kind of his own plan to somewhat foil Dracula. You're never exactly sure, because we won't get into his mind or his psyche.
No.
But yeah, he's not happy about Dracula
he's taken a liking to Mina, and he was really upset when Dracula was going after Mina. So now Renfield wants to get him back.
And he relays that, well, when they came, they sailed to London, they came with 3 coffins.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he tells Van Helsing he came with 3 boxes, and they're at the Abbey in the basement. And so there's that's all that Van Helsing needed to know. He's like, I know how to kill him now.
Yep. We just have to find the right time to get into Carfax Abbey and drive a stake through his heart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the daylight, preferably.
Yeah. Preferably when he is asleep in his coffin.
Sleep.
He puts up less of a fight that way. But it's also kind of a bullshit way to take him out, though. I mean, while he's sleeping? Come on, dude.
I hear you. No wonder he hates it. Anyhow. But after they're kind of done talking about this, right? Jonathan, they hear the wolves again. Jonathan goes out on the balcony and he sees this wolf
and
running away.
Mina is sitting on this little couch
that's
there.
Him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mina's sitting on a little couch on the balcony. And John goes out and he sees the wolf and they're like, that's him. And so John sits down with Mina and they have a conversation. And Mina's
how she now likes the night.
Yes. She now likes the night. She's starting to act kind of weird. Like different than she's been acting the rest of the movie. She's starting to act a little bit more like Renfield, actually.
Entranced.
Not like crazy eyes like Renfield, but a little bit more, entranced by Dracula.
Yeah, and not just, it's entranced, but with that craze, slightly bit of craze to her. Kind of manic.
Yeah. Again, not nearly to the point of Renfield, but...
no.
But yes, it is there. So then John comes, I guess, Van Helsing comes to tell Jonathan his plan. And while they're talking, Mina disappears.
Right. And we see out, coming out of the lower level of the house. And there's this, we see Dracula just kind of sidestep behind this large tree.
Yeah.
And he's just staring. He's got the dead eyes going, right? It's kind of funny. You get the look at Mina's eyes at a certain point, and hers, they look more vacant when she gets the eyes. His are kind of penetrating.
Yeah.
And she, they kind of disappear behind the tree together. And as we get back to the house, we hear this scream from one of the maids. It's like, I saw Miss Mina go over there towards that man, right? And so they all run out to, the back of the property. And they discover her, and, he's had a little bit of his sustenance from her, right? Meanwhile, as they're out there, Renfield's left, in the sitting area with that maid.
Yeah.
He says something kind of crazy, and he's got that grin that's just kind of stuck on his face, right?
Yeah, that big grin.
Kind of like the Joker grin.
Yes, exactly. We didn't even mention that earlier. We mentioned the huge eyes, the big crazy eyes, but we did not mention the big grin he's just got stuck to his face like Joker. And actually, I was gonna bring that up too. That it is very similar to Conrad Veidt's smile in The Man Who Laughs. The character that
nice
the Joker
call.
is based off of.
Yeah, I like that. So, yeah. And so he just starts kind of acting oddly, and the maid sees it, and she just faints.
Yeah.
And then he gets on all fours and starts crawling towards her, right? And we don't ever really catch much about that, but all right. So we cut back to another scene somewhere in London.
Because we don't really see Renfield again.
Not for a while. And we don't see her again. So I don't know. But they never mention what happened.
No, they don't.
What we do is it cuts to London.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of outside this park area, and you see this cop kind of walking by this fence. And we just hear this small kid wailing or crying, right? And that's when it cuts back to this sanitarium, and you have Gerard talking with one of the nurses. They're reading the newspaper about
Martin.
These kids.
Martin talking with the nurse. played by Charles Gerard.
Charles Gerard. Sorry, thank you. And they're just talking about this case of these kids, being attacked, and talking about this woman in white. And they're able to deduce that this is Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Lucy is no longer dead. She's now undead.
And so, they need to have this other conversation about, okay, we need to put this plan in motion.
Yeah.
Right? And they know they need to keep Mina safe because this keeps happening. She's going to become undead.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't even just present it in terms of just her earthly life. They're talking about her soul. Like, they don't want her to be damned either.
Yeah. Yes,
right?
exactly.
The novel, obviously fully dives much more into the religious context and themes of this, but it's kind of touched on here a little bit. And so they want to keep Mina like kind of locked in her room, and they're going to put wolfsbane around her neck, around the door, around the bed, on the outside of her room, on the balcony, just everywhere to just keep her as safe as possible. And they're going to lock the doors so no bats can just try to fly right on in.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's right. This is, she didn't disappear from the couch earlier. That's right. But we did see Dracula out there. She just
disappeared from the room, I think. Yeah. They totally go up to her room, and then she just left her room earlier.
Yeah.
So they're on the couch. The couch scene is in this scene. This is this scene here is when, they're just kind of talking on the couch. And that's when Jonathan realizes that she's in more danger than she is, and that he has to listen to Van Helsing about this. Right? And so after she goes to the room, they're back down there. They're
Van Helsing's a professor.
Things again.
Van Helsing's a professor. He's a smart professor. Smart fellow.
So they're back in the sitting area again. They're talking. And Renfield kind of comes in again. Right? And he kind of finally tells him like how Dracula like convinced him to like give him Mina. Right? He's talks about all these rats, right? It's like all these rats can be yours. He has this very vivid depiction of how he sees all these rats with these red eyes.
Because rats have more blood than bugs do.
Yep. They're full of blood and of life. So, and it's like, it's striking imagery, right? And that was, it's like, they talk about loving the fog is kind of what she talks about with this, right? And then night, all these things. And, she gets that vacant stare and she almost comes in. I'm sorry, I'm just pushing back towards that scene on the balcony again. It's almost like she's going to try to bite and feed on Jonathan.
Yeah.
Right? And then I guess it's his crucifix that comes out. That's what pushes her back and realizes this.
Yeah.
That the gravity of the situation, so to speak.
Yeah, but she doesn't react as harshly.
So now we're back down.
Yeah, she doesn't react as harshly to the crucifix as Dracula does. Like she doesn't, jump back as suddenly.
Right.
She kind of eases back a little bit and not so dramatic.
Yep. And she's, she'll, and if she sees it again, she kind of has to turn away. But again, it's not like this violent reaction. Yeah,
because she's not a full-fledged vampire yet.
It's the same thing with the wolfsbane. Like she can be around it because, it doesn't quite bother her yet because she's not had that full transformation.
Yeah.
So, but so when they're back down in the parlor, right? Dracula comes back in, and he's gonna have a one-on-one chat with Van Helsing. Right. And he states that Mina belongs to him. And just tells Van Helsing very politely, go home to your country. Right?
Yeah.
You don't belong here.
He's letting him off the hook.
I'm not bothered. I'm not going to feed on you. You're okay.
You just go live your life. Go back home. You don't bother me. I won't bother you.
Yep. But Van Helsing, he's an upstanding gentleman. He's not going to stand for, watch innocent young ladies get their blood and life sucked out of them. So he tells them to fuck off.
Pretty much. He doesn't exactly use those words, but pretty much.
He says he's going to excavate Carfax Abbey and just destroy Dracula, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Dracula tries to hypnotize Van Helsing. And for a minute, it looks like Van Helsing's resisting and then slowly giving in, right? But instead, Van Helsing then takes a step back. And Dracula just tells him, "Oh, you're a strong one."
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he starts to lunge at him, and he brings out his crucifix.
Yes, he brings out his big crucifix.
It's a far more dangerous, far more violent reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of having to flee away from it. So that's, that's right. So
the crucifix earlier that Jonathan had, that was Van Helsing's crucifix that he gave to him because he knew that. That's right. He knew that Mina was turning. Right. And so Mina, when he pulled it out, when she saw it, she convinced him to put it in his pocket.
That's right. That's what happened.
So that it wouldn't bother her anymore.
We forgot about the scene too, though. In that scene, the bat comes back, and that's when she starts really kind of going into that trance. Is when Dracula's just hovering over her, kind of speaking to her, right? So they get in, but then we realize is that after she has that's right, and they end that that scene on the balcony with Mina kind of confessing about what Dracula has done, right? And tells Harker that their love is finished. John that their love is finished. But John's not going to have this because he loves Mina.
Yes, he does.
Right? He realizes that no, she did not do this willingly. That she was targeted by Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
That anything that happened is not her fault. Right? Again, there is definite sexual undertones here.
Yeah.
It doesn't go that far. And, obviously it'd all be a metaphor anyway, but it's there. Right? Mina did not cheat on him.
No.
Right? Like, again, she was targeted. She was abused by Dracula. So, but eventually what happens is when she's in her room and she's sleeping, Dracula comes back and hypnotizes the maid, the nursemaid, Briggs, to remove all the wolfsbane so that he can speak with Mina and bring her to Carfax Abbey to kind of complete everything.
Yep. So she does. And he takes her to Carfax Abbey.
And as this happened, after this happens, right, we have John, and Van Helsing realize to see Renfield leaving the sanitarium. They realize they're gonna have to go follow this guy because to lead them to Dracula, right? And so now we have Dracula gets to the Abbey. He starts leading Mina down these stairs. Now she's completely entranced.
Yeah,
looks like, right?
Yeah.
And they get towards like the bottom of the stairs, and Renfield catches up with them, right? And he starts calling Master, Master, right? He's in his crazed type voice again. But Van Helsing and John, they followed them. Yep. And they find this opening they can see that goes towards like the crypt in the basement. And they're able to bust it open and they crawl on in, right? And they're kind of towards the bottom of that staircase. And they see Mina there and Dracula and Renfield.
And then Dracula sees them and realizes that Renfield led them there, whether he meant to or not.
And Renfield's like, I didn't mean it, Master. No.
And so Dracula kills Renfield.
Yes.
And yeah, so Renfield's dead. Actually dead
He's
this
dead.
time.
He's at the bottom of the steps in the crypt.
And Dracula, he's talking to Van Helsing and John, and he's telling them they're too late. His blood is already flowing through Mina's body.
She will become just
like him. And then he takes a nap. I don't get this part.
I don't get it either. He just decides, what?
I get the sun's coming up, but he's inside. He's not out in the sun. He's in the crypt.
Yes.
He kind of leaves them, and he goes and he lays down and takes a nap in his coffin.
It's like, I think it's a good time for a nap.
It's like, these guys are here to try to kill me. I think it's nap time. Rather than just disposing of them really quickly because I'm a vampire and they can't kill me unless I'm sleeping, and unless I'm in my coffin.
Yep.
He could have easily killed them right then and then taken a nap.
And then they wait. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're gonna take that lid off my coffin now.
Yeah. So there's Dracula's coffin, and then there's another one right next to it. And, well, he takes Mina with him. And so Van Helsing goes, he opens up one of them, and John is wondering where Mina is. And when Van Helsing opens one of the coffins, he's like, oh, she's in here. You get her, you take care of her while I go and check for Dracula. So he goes and opens the other coffin and sees Dracula laying there, asleep.
Yep. Bela Lugosi just enjoying his beauty nap.
Just
beauty sleep.
Just napping, just chilling in his coffin. And so John gets Mina up out of her coffin and takes her over by the wall. And Van Helsing breaks the lid on. He breaks up the lid on Mina's coffin so he can get some wood. Gets a piece of wood from there, and he finds he wants to get something like hard and heavy, then to so he finds a skull.
It in.
He finds a skull. He uses a skull as a hammer to knock that. He puts his new wooden stake on over Dracula's heart, and then he pounds it with the skull, and you hear Dracula just let out the slightest whimper. It's not quite a scream. It's like a and you hear him hit that stake a couple more times, and then he looks over the top of the coffin, and he's like, "It's done." He's dead.
So, where's the skull come from? The previous owners
I don't know.
When they cleared it out, they get there was a skull. Did Dracula bring it with them?
Maybe. Or maybe the previous owners, maybe the reason why they sold it to Dracula is because, they buried bodies in the basement. And they figured he would too.
Like the Burbs.
Yeah. Like the Burbs. Yeah, so then we see that Mina is back to normal. As soon as Dracula dies, then all of her...
She's out.
Whatever enchantment was on her, whatever trance she's under, she's fine now.
She's fine. Nary the thing to be done. Yeah, she's great. She's good to go again.
So then, the end comes up on the screen. They don't even leave the abbey yet.
No, they don't.
And the end pops up.
We don't see anything with Lucy.
Nope.
She's still out there terrorizing people.
Yep. Or is kids. She? Or is she, though?
The brides are still...
there is the old theory about vampires that if you kill the vampire that turned you...
the host.
killed the original vampire that turned somebody, then they're no longer a vampire.
Well, okay, that's probably what it is. They stick close to that,
which is really what happened with Mina. Because when they killed Dracula, then whatever power he had over her was negated, was taken away. So she was normal again. So maybe
whereas
that happened with
the
Lucy
brides,
also.
the brides, they're fully dead.
Yeah, so I mean, they may have just dropped dead.
They probably just,
or maybe
they don't wake back up.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe they do wake back up and they're just chilling. They're just chilling for the rest of eternity.
And instead of being 1630s Transylvania, it's now the 1930s.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to make of this new world. And then they, simple as that.
Yeah.
But that's the end.
That's Dracula. Very good movie.
A very good movie. It's
a classic for a reason.
And it is a classic for a reason. It's just, you can tell this, it's at it was ahead, I shouldn't say ahead of its time, but definitely for that early period of, talkies, right? It was, you could see why this one caught on very quickly. People, and was popular. And why we can see why it endures also.
Yep.
And Bela Lugosi is
Bela Lugosi is
so iconic,
brilliant as Dracula.
It's a great. It's his acting's great, and then like the costume they have for him is great, and the makeup all together works really well. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it, along with the other Universal monster movies, whether it be Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Wolfman, The Invisible Man.
Creature from Black Lagoon.
There you go.
The Mummy.
Yeah. So definitely worth checking out.
Yes.
We thought this one would be probably one of the most appropriate for this time of year. So we ran with it. And I just think being that it's kind of the first, it's also appropriate that we did it.
Yes. Yes, it is. Very appropriate. And with it being right before Halloween, it's an appropriate movie to put this time of year.
It is. And now we can say we have a movie from the 1930s that we've done. So. Yeah. Which I think is a good thing to do too. I think, trying to get a good range. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah. So anything else that you want to say about it?
I think that's it.
Anything else? Yeah, I think we covered it pretty well. So yeah, if you enjoy what you're hearing, check us out on our social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads as Rob Antoni's Cinematic Adventure. The and is spelled out, A-N-D. It's not an ampersand like the name of the podcast. We're also on X or Twitter. That is R&T Cinematic. Then we are also on Letterboxd, so you can check out some of our reviews that we've done on various movies, some we've done on the podcast, some we haven't done, some we will do, some we won't do. That is Cine Adventure or Cine Adventure, C-I-N-E Adventure. And you can also send us an email at robandtonycinematicadventure@gmail.com. Once again, the and is spelled out, A-N-D. It's not an ampersand like the name of the podcast. But yeah, let us know, what did you think of Dracula? Is this the definitive version of Dracula in your mind? Do you prefer other Universal monster movies? Do you prefer remakes of these Universal monster movies? The Brendan Fraser Mummy was a really good remake of the Mummy.
I really enjoyed that. Yes,
but
that was fun. Tom Cruise, I love Tom Cruise.
Yeah, but his Mummy was not so good. But anyway, so let us know what you thought of Dracula. Should we do more of these Universal monster movies? Should we do, like a whole series of these things? I don't know. We might someday. We may do some more of these. We may not. But anyway, we want to hear from you. And, go to our social media, give us a like and a follow. Go to your favorite podcast app. Hit that subscribe button and give us a good rating, a good review. If you like what you're hearing, that's how we move up in the standings and the search and the recommendations, all that stuff. Because we want to be able to reach as many people as we can, because we love talking about these movies, and we know there are people out there that love listening to us talk about these movies and would love to talk about these movies with us. So, next time, we are getting closer and closer to Halloween.
We are.
And we didn't do Dracula just because.
No,
we did it.
No, we
did it, one, because it's a great movie, but also as a lead-in for our next movie. We're going to continue with the vampires. We did a classic vampire movie. Now we're going to do one of the more modern vampire movies. So we did one of the first. Now we're going to go with one of the most recent vampire movies.
I guess you could say maybe potentially a new classic.
Yes, you could.
It certainly seems to be trending that direction.
Yes, it does. That has a slightly different take on vampires, but at the same time, the same rules that apply to Dracula apply to the vampires in this movie. And that movie is Sinners.
I'm excited for this one.
I am too. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about Sinners next. So if you have not seen it, you got time to watch it. It is currently streaming on HBO Max if you have that service. And it's also out on Blu-ray and DVD and all that. So you can find it somewhere streaming. And so you got time to watch it. And I'm looking forward to this one because it's a good movie. So join us next time for Sinners.